Hello.
Hey, Manuel, how's it going?
Yeah, so I'm very happy that you were able to come here
Yeah.
to our house.
Oh, it's truly been a pleasure. You know.
So well, just that the people that they see in this video know. So David Landsberger is a very good friend and a researcher from New York University.
Yeah.
So he
They'll be mad at me if I don't correct you. It's the New York University Grossman School of Medicine.
Okay. So what is your main area of research?
Well, primarily I work with cochlear implantation and trying to figure out how to improve the lives of cochlear implant patients by improving the representation of auditory information in the cochlea. But truthfully, I'm really expanding on all of this in order to look at how the auditory system works and what we can do to improve the lives by improving auditory representation of a signal.
Yeah, and as you know, I'm Manuel, so
I do.
Thank you. I'm talking to the camera.
Right.
I'm also research manager of Orígenes, and in Orígenes we are aiming to help the people that have sensory processing disorder with technology.
That's right.
So here we are together, and we have a very nice workshop to discuss how we can work together. And we have had many ideas. And the idea of this video is to present a little bit what we discussed.
Yep.
So our current idea is to have a project that will have three steps.
Yes.
So step one will be to characterize the effects of the auditory stimulation on people that have sensory processing disorder.
Right.
So what do we know about that?
That's a good question. I think, surprisingly, the answer is we don't know a lot about that. Having gone through the literature, I see lots and lots of description of the problem, but I have seen almost nothing that quantifies it. If we want to make lives better, I don't know how we do that if we don't know how to document how they are today. It seems from the literature that the sound source that can cause these troubles there could be many different kinds of sound sources. It could be something that's constant and repetitive, or it could be loud and high frequency, or maybe it's very quiet and subtle, but the person is very cognizant of it. So there doesn't seem to be one answer, but many different consistent answers.
Yeah, what is for me is very surprising, and I really don't understand. Other similar health issues like tinnitus have been much better characterized.
Yeah.
And I really scratch my head, like, why a problem that is so present and so modern and so affects so many people doesn't have this characterization?
It really is surprising. Again, I mean, there is characterization, but it's all vague, qualitative description.
Yeah, very subjective.
Very subjective.
Yeah. It was this very nice paper that we were studying before.
Yeah.
That really is an interview to the people that have sensory processing disorder, and I ask them, how do you feel about this sound? And it's surprising the descriptions that they have. So we have to interpret it, and that's not the way that we work.
So what we need to do is find some way to quantify this. Yeah. We need to figure out how to establish a baseline metric for this, because I've never seen one.
Yeah. So that's the first step. The first step is to characterize that. And the idea is then to join forces.
Yep.
And to do a very extensive protocol to understand all these different stimuli that you mentioned, some of them, and understand how it affects the sensory processing disorder population. That will be very, very interesting.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah. So how do you think we can finance this research? Because at the end of the day, this is research.
Well, I mean, on one hand, I think there are many different options, but of course it's complicated given that we're on different continents and different governing bodies. From my side, by which I mean the United States side, the NIH has multiple mechanisms that could be relevant. If we're going as a pure science route, which I think is what we're doing, then I think the R21 mechanism is probably the best idea. So the R21 mechanism it's basically a high-risk, high-reward mechanism where they fund basic science for 2 years to give you a chance to figure out whether some crazy idea might actually be useful and beneficial and pan out. And I think this might be a really good mechanism to quickly collect some baseline data to actually quantify and document what this problem is. And I think probably we can also do within that mechanism a comparison between the SPD population and the
neurotypical
neuroatypical population. Yeah.
That's fantastic. How do you see Orígenes on this grant? How can we help?
Well, I need a lot of help. Well, informally, I'm going to need a lot of help with the ideas and thinking through the protocol. I'm going to need equipment or tools because we're going to need to we're going to need to evaluate. We're going to have to measure EEG or something, and that's your game.
Yeah, that's
this
what we know to do.
Yes, and this is not what I know to do, but I know it needs to be done. So I'm going to need that from you, and that's going to, of course, require both physically the tools, but also some manpower and or brain power. I don't know if those are the same things to help get that on the road. And of course, I need that. I need your help with that for the credibility, because without Orígenes, I'm going to be considered. Well, he doesn't actually know anything about EEG, so I need you to back me up.
Yeah, well, it's a crazy idea, to be honest, but it's amazing what we can obtain. And that maybe takes us to the step number 2, that it is also something that we want to work together. Once that we understand and characterize the effects of the auditory path in sensory processing disorder, then we can start to discuss and think about solutions.
Yes.
And one of them is the noise management.
Yes.
So how can you help us on that?
Well, that's a good question. We need the answer to step 1 to really know. I mean, this conversation begins with the discussion about our SATA noise reduction algorithm. Now, I know you've worked extensively with our noise reduction algorithm, and it is very effective at removing noise. However, sitting here today, we don't exactly know what the noise is we have to remove. Therefore, as much as I am proud of this algorithm, I do not yet know if it is the appropriate algorithm to solve this problem. And so we need to go and study what is it that we need to remove to help. And then the next phase would be, how do we do that removal? Is SATA appropriate to do that? Do we need to tweak SATA to optimize it for this problem? Because this is not what it was designed for, even though I think it may very well be useful. Or do we need to start again? But we don't have that data yet.
Let me open a parenthesis here, because you had mentioned several times SEDA.
Yeah.
And what is SEDA? The people in the camera doesn't know what is SEDA.
Hi, people in the camera. SEDA is a noise reduction algorithm that was designed in my lab. The design of SEDA was to solve a problem of how do we remove complicated noises that are unpredictable, such as what we call multi-talker babble. Multi-talker babble, all that is fancy words for the sound of other people talking in the background. And we try to separate a speaker, someone you're trying to listen to all the other speakers you might experience in a restaurant or wherever. Now, this is very difficult because the talk you're trying to listen to and the talker in the background, they've got very similar properties. They're all speech. But we also can't incorporate very heavy, complicated algorithms because this has to happen real time with low latency on light simple devices. So we have to have a very fast, very light, very flexible algorithm to remove background noise. And we've got that. It works beautifully. But it has not yet been applied to this particular domain.
No. And actually, this is perhaps what brings us together to this project, because when I was research manager at Oticon Medical, I had the privilege to evaluate SEDA as a potential noise reduction system for our cochlear implant system.
Yes.
And the evaluation was very good. I remember that SEDA was between the best, perhaps only less superior to the deep neural network systems. But you have to think that these networks were running in computers with hundreds of MIPS available. And even with these hundreds of MIPS, they have a significant delay. So in that real-time processing, there's no comparison. You cannot do something like that. And I was very surprised of the quality of SEDA. I remember this demo that you did, and maybe we can add it to the video after.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have this very amazing noisy environment in the New York City.
Oh, yeah,
and
Times
then
Square.
And then you turn on SEDA, and it becomes Roquefort Lepa, to a certain extent, something like this.
No, it only quiets things. Unfortunately, you're still at Times Square.
Yeah, but it was very nice. Very impressive. Okay, so step 2 is basically understand how noise management, and I prefer to say noise management and not say noise reduction, because there are many things that we can do there.
Yes, I think that's right.
Can help people that have sensory processing disorder. That, and how we want to finance that, how we want to put that together.
You're asking about like an SBIR mechanism?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, there's, in the United States, there's a mechanism called the SBIR.
Mm-hmm.
We actually use this mechanism to fund much of the development of our SEDA noise reduction system. And that's noise reduction and not noise management in that case. But okay. But what this mechanism does is it allows, it's basically your bench to bedside funding mechanism. It takes an idea that was developed by a small commercial interest, either on their own or in partnership with an academic institution such as New York University, for an example, and funds the translation of these ideas into things that may be commercially applicable. So the very first phase, what they call phase 1, is a proof of concept. And I think that's where we are, or where we will be, is can we demonstrate that noise management can reduce the stress, the annoyance, the frustration involved with a noisy environment. And I think that would make a really nice proof of concept proposal.
Yeah, fantastic. It really grows into that. And well, in Europe we have similar ideas, like we have the Pathfinder grant.
Yes.
And that's also similar, so we will have different partners. So in this case, the academics involved in Orígenes, yourself, York Sound.
Yep.
And that will be also a fantastic opportunity to go beyond just doing basic science and bringing a solution for this type of problem.
Yep.
Okay, so that takes us to step 3.
Yep.
What will be step 3?
Profit?
Well, yeah, but before that we need to... Well, the step 3 will be, we have a proof of concept that we have demonstrated that in a device that is flexible, small, that can run in real time, we can do things, and then we have to take that from this proof of concept to a product.
Yes.
That then we can sell we can sell to the public. Yeah, and that's the path.
Yep.
So I hope we reach there, because we say that if we are able to do that, we are going to travel together to Mexico.
Yes, that's very important to get down on film.
Yeah. David, it's a pleasure and honor to have you with us at Orígenes. You know how much I have admired you in all your research. We have been following our work for many years now. I think more than 7 years that we have been discussing, even more.
Maybe, yeah. Long enough that I've lost track.
Yeah, so we have discussed about music in CI. We have discussed
Yes.
about weird stimulation modalities,
Yeah,
crazy implant designs.
yeah.
And now we're going a little bit of our area of comfort. So we're moving away from cochlear implants to neurodevelopment. And I think that's fantastic.
A cool project without cochlear implants.
Yeah,
Wow.
We'll see what happens.
That's going to be exciting.
It is.
And I'm really looking forward to the addendum to this video of the two of us in Mexico
yeah.
with the beer.
Yeah, with some tequila.
Oh,
And dos
I'm sorry.
tacos. Dos tacos, por favor.
yes, right.